Hey there, so this here is the Functional Genomic Analysis back office for practitioners. So this is if you had a client, this is what it looks like, and I'm going to kind of walk you through real quick, what it looks like from a practitioner side and some of the reports. So once you upload the genetics, and then also you have a questionnaire that's about 200 questions, and then you can also put in lab work, some lab work from Genova, doctor's data, and Great Plains, and then a few other just lab tests. You're going to get like regular blood chemistry lab tests. And then what's going to happen is it will put in these different sections here. You see you've got this one here is the genes, this here is the questionnaire, the symptoms, and this is the lab. So this here is the basic pyramid, and we look at the foundation. So right here we kind of look and see, oh, genetic wise, copper, iron, seroplasm, magnesium pathways, there's definitely some genetic tendencies for that to be a problem. The symptoms are definitely manifesting, and lab results show a medium that, hey, there is some potential problem here. You click on that and you can kind of see which particular tests are associated with that, and the same with the symptoms. You can look and see, here's the questions they answered that are connected with that, and then you click on the genes, and we're going to look and see the genes here that are connected to that. Next, you can also expand this entire section, and let me close those out because it's going to block all this information here. So you can expand the section and look at this whole detox here support, and look at the genes. So here's the genes, there's the SNPs. If you want to know more about it, you can click, right here shows you what these genes are for. So the NFE and how they encode the NRF2 and what the NRF2 regulates, those sort of things. And then over here on the right tells you their products that will support that pathway. And the way that they work is that they don't do a replacing. They support the cofactors. They're going to find herbal products and natural things that are going to help to support those pathways working to give the body the nutrition that it needs so the body can regulate, self-regulate, and do what it needs to do, as opposed to replacing. And if you click on here, this here question mark tells you a little bit more about the NRF2, glutathione, SOD catalase, a little bit more about all of that. And then if you click on the PDF, that would tell you about their product, that they would say, this is potentially something that could help. So each one of those pathways are not saying, hey, you need to go order all of these, but it lets you kind of know these are some things to consider. And so this will tell you the SNPs that are associated with that overall, the lab results that are pointing to that, and then, hey, where they fall in the symptoms. So it just kind of helps you to put together the bigger picture and to put things into context. So just one thing to note is just because it has a supplement listed doesn't mean to go out and order all 50 of these supplements. It's just giving you guys just things to look at. So you can just kind of scroll through here and look at, all these different, the SNPs and the genes. And then here you can kind of see where does the patient or client fall at in the, with other populations. And so what they have found here is this is about the mean is where most people fall. And over here shows you, hey, this is support-wise, this client probably has a pretty big, strong need for support. Again, this is not a 100%. They really do expect you to put things into context and look at the big picture. This is just a tool to use to kind of help put some of those pieces together and connect some dots. But it's just kind of a nice little graph to look at and see there. You can also see here the percentages, and this tells you how many of the percentage have this particular genetic profile. So we can look here and see this one here, only 16% of the population that they have in their database is showing there's a SNP in this particular gene, as you can see right here where I have highlighted. So sometimes you can kind of see that, some SNPs, it's very common to have SNPs. Some of them are not necessarily clinically relevant and that sort of a thing. But what they do is they go through the studies, they do a lot of research and studies, and they try to help put the things that we know are clinically relevant and how those things work and put them into that chart so we can see them, how it all fits together. So here's some more, it just kind of expands out some of the lab tests that are pertinent to that particular pathway. And I mean, as you can see over here on the right, this is a really, really long page. And this is just that one section that you're gonna you can go through, and you can really, really dive as deep as you want here and get into a lot of details. So I'm not gonna go through all those, but basically how this works, when you're looking at this, they have a really awesome training. So they have a 3-module training that's free, and it's pretty in-depth. And then they have an additional, I think, 14 modules. It's like $500, which really gets into even more. But the free modules covers this here first part down here. So you're looking at the the detox and all these things that really we have to have working before this stuff upstream, like our hormones and methylation. So a lot of these things intermingle with one another, but we got to have the thing that is the far upstream. So they give a really good foundation here in the bottom to get folks started. And then, you know, if those things don't resolve the situation, then we know that we've got to dig deeper into some of these things here on top. And so here, as you can kind of look and see at this particular one, and this actually happens, I think, to be mine, is I definitely have some genetic tendencies to have some problems here in my detox, glutamate, zonulin, all these oranges here, and definitely like the ammonia urea cycle. And I'm obviously expressing a lot of these things as well. So something else to note is like here, BH4. So overall, genetic-wise, those pathways, that BH4, that neurotransmitter, especially think of like the dopamine, you know, tyrosine, tryptophan, all that stuff, you know, genetic-wise, I looks like I got, you know, pretty well okay, but our epigenetics really determine things. So as you can see here, my labs show that those pathways definitely have some problems, and my symptoms are red that really show that those pathways are underburdened, even though I'm not necessarily genetically predisposed for that. So just one thing to really emphasize with patients and clients is that just because we have a gene that has a SNP doesn't mean that, hey, there's going to be a problem. Just because we have a gene and don't have a SNP doesn't mean that it's not going to be a problem. So that's just one thing to note here. Unfortunately, you can see that, you know, all my SNPs, even where I have some reds, I'm pretty well not doing so good here. So that's pretty much, you know, what that part looks like. And then you can go to the reports. There's a lot of reports here that you can pick from. So you can get just basically the entire report here, or you can look at, let's look at the copper, iron, magnesium report, or the glutathione, NRF2, autophagy report, or the mTOR SNPs, glutamate, glutamine SNPs, heme pathway, solute carrier 1, or the NOx SNPs. We can, you know, or then we have the one that's for the client. So let's just look here at the full report. And some of these take a little bit while to generate because it's a pretty big report here. And this is online. And so it has to upload or, you know, send out all the data or whatever kind of stuff. And I'm also going to upload a sample raw data because they give you the whole list of your SNPs, which my particular SNPs was like 90-something pages of just where I had SNPs, and over 300 pages where it was like the entire thing. So this one here was that first practitioner report. So you see here it has a section of things that impact gut health and digestion. And we all know that pretty much all of these things, there's going to be it starts in the gut, or there's a huge gut component because that's where our fuel is. There's just so many things in that. So this is going to go through those SNPs, tell you about them. If you need more information, you just click on the question mark. It's going to kind of help you know a little bit more about some of this stuff here. And then if you wanted to use their products, you just check mark them, and then it'll show up on the supplement report of which supplements you decided that you wanted to order. So you know you can just go down through all of these variants, and like I said, it's just going to go through quite a bit here. It's many pages that you're going to go through. There's the SOD, the detox, SOD phase 2, phase 1 liver detox. So you can kind of look and see what's going on in that situation. All of that. We have what's here, the folate cycle, methionine, neurotransmitter, serotonin, dopamine, glutamine, GABA, glutamate GABA, BH4, nitric oxide, peroxynitrite. That one's a big one, especially as you start to learn more and more about that pathway, which goes down into your detox, the glutathione upstream from that, where there's a lot of problems there. And supporting that peroxynitrite, the Fenton reaction, is something else to learn about. If you're not familiar with that already, that's problematic for a lot of people. And that's where we get into the situation of we start supplementing with supposedly good supplements or good things, and people start having problems because of some of these pathways. They get set on this not so good side, this adverse side, and so we're now feeding that. So instead of getting it kicked back over to that parasympathetic state, to that rest and digest, repair, restorative state, we got to kind of sometimes navigate that very gently. And so what happens is whenever we have this peroxynitrite as a problem, things get, you know, that's where we definitely see things where we're giving them what we think are the right supplements, the right foods even, but it's pushing the wrong cycle. It's pushing that the wrong way. So vitamin D, I mean, we see a lot of the VDR SNPs, intestinal bacteria, the sex hormones, DNA repair, so urea cycle. So all these things are on here we can look at to see, okay, where are potential problems at? It's a pretty comprehensive report here on that. And then if we go back here and look at the other reports, under SNP reports, you know, you could just pick out, let's look at the heme pathway, look at that. Let's see what that one happens to look like here. And then you can generate these reports, and then you can upload them and let the clients or patients see them. Put them in there. If you have another EHR, put them in that chart, share them with them that way. This really allows you to, you know, really dig in and see, hey, what is going on here? What's the upstream problems here with my patients? Other than that, let's look at the entire, the gene analysis. So this report here is basically kind of the raw data. This is going to tell you, okay, here's where your SNPs are. And I'm pretty sure that the patients and clients get this automatically once they have their sample comes back. But this is basically just a list here of, here's the gene, there's the RS number, the genotype, here's what it's supposed to be, here's the risk. And what do you have? The variant. So this is a homozygous. All these 2s are homozygous. And then here's some percentage that they see are, you know, good. Here's the heterozygous and how many they see homozygous. So this whole page, there's 15,000 entries. So it's a pretty long, it's a significant amount of data. So what I usually do is I only do the variants, because that's really what we want to for the most part, we just want to know where are their variants. Now, granted, there are some where we would like to know, but for the most part, this is usually suffices. It's just a variants only report. Like I said, this one's going to be about 90 pages long. When you download this, and this is what it looks like. So it's just a spreadsheet, and it just has the gene, the RSD, the genotype, good, the risk, the variance, and the percentages. And like I said, this is 90 pages long. But you're going to have, you know, all the genes on here that have genetic SNPs. There's some sort of a variant on that. So that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me. If you're wanting to run these just for a sample, you're welcome to use my account. You know, I can set you up an account or a little test patient thing for you with this, or you can go to DNAsupplementation.com. They do have, let me show you here, when you go to DNAsupplementation.com, this is what it looks like. Over here on the right is the practitioner portal, and you click down here in the bottom right hand corner, and that's where you can create an account. Over on the left is their training, and oh my goodness, their training is amazing. Again, they have this online certification course. This information is open to anybody. So if you have patients or clients that they're really gung-ho about learning this kind of stuff, send them this way so they can start learning this stuff for themselves and really kind of help team up with you as you guys partner in their health, try to figure things out. You know, put them to work and let them do that digging, because this course has so much information in it. I just think it's a great resource that everybody should be able to tap into. The additional, so that there's 3 modules, and it's probably 50 or 60 different webinars between 20 minutes to an hour long. And then they have the advanced course to finish the entire certification is like $500. And I haven't finished that yet, but what I have of the first initial part, it was just absolutely amazing. And then they have weekly webinars, or bi-weekly webinars. They have continuing education, continually bringing up, you know, what are we finding out? What's the new research? What's the new information on these genes? What's the new clinical significance? That sort of thing. So you can always get on that list if you are wanting to do that. And they have an archive where they archive all their past webinars that people can go access. So I think this is just an absolutely wonderful resource for anybody who's looking into the genetics, the epigenetic factors, you know, looking kind of like where Ben Lynch has really started rolling get that ball rolling on bringing awareness to genetics. But as much as I love Dr. Lynch, you know, sometimes he can be difficult to follow because he goes on a lot of tangents. And this here really kind of hones in and helps keep things rolling well and connecting those dots, like all those wonderful pieces of information that Lynch gets into, but this really kind of does it very systematically. And they have a lot of great charts. If you're really into that biochemistry, like I love the biochemistry. That's what I really like about Ben is all of his those biochemical charts. Like I love those things. So they have those here too. But they also have a lot of other things in their training and their stuff. So that's pretty much it. It's my favorite genomic gene analysis information. And again, you are welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions. I have a Facebook group. It is Functional Health Community Practitioners Only. And then I also have a Functional Health Community that's just open to anybody that you're totally welcome to join. I'm pretty active in a lot of the different groups. I'm in quite a few different Facebook groups, functional medicine. So if you're looking to connect with other practitioners across the globe, again, reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. And if you're looking for someone in your area, I may know about somebody. I've got quite a few people that I do a lot of networking. So just reach out if you're looking for help in whatever area of practice that you are in. I would love to connect with you. And if you want to chat sometime, that's fine. Feel free to reach out to me. You can go to thefunctionalperspective.com/schedule. And I have a button on there for practitioners to schedule a time to say, hey, let's chat. Again, it's thefunctionalperspective.com/schedule. That's it for now, and I hope that this answered some questions and you get to see a little bit more about what this is and how it can work for you and your patients or clients. I will talk to you later. Take care.